I was deceived into going on a date with a half-paralyzed girl, she said. You don't have to stay if it's just pity. He rubbed his eyes, trying to focus on the schematics of the new exoskeleton prototype he was building. The tiny robot arms on the console moved almost as if they were alive, assembling and disassembling the delicate metal joints. Yet, despite all the high-tech gadgets and progress, his thoughts drifted to the message he had just received. It was from Mara. He didn't know her very well. They had met once in the university corridor months ago. She had a sharp smile and carried herself with a quiet confidence. She was, in some ways, unlike anyone Alex had met, and now she was asking him out for a date, she called it. I know you might feel this is strange and I'm not expecting anything, but would you like to go out with me? You don't have to if it's just pity. Mara, Alex frowned. He stared at the words, rereading them again and again. Pity. Did she think he would feel sorry for her? She was half paralyzed, yes, but she had never asked for help, never complained about anything. If anything, she seemed almost fearless. He leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. His lab was silent except for the soft hum of the exoskeleton motors and the occasional beep from the console. He had been so focused on his work that he hadn't thought much about people outside it. He wasn't used to being asked out. He wasn't sure what to think. After a long pause, he finally typed a reply, "Sure, I'd like to." He hit send before he could second-guess himself. The next day, Alex arrived at the meeting point in the city park. It was a sprawling space, filled with towering trees, glowing walkways, and automated drones trimming the hedges. The city's skyscrapers loomed in the distance, reflecting the morning sunlight in silver and gold streaks. He checked his watch nervously, and then he saw her. Mara was standing near the fountain, a light exoskeleton attached to her legs helping her move with ease. Her smile was calm, almost teasing as she noticed him approaching. "Alex," she said, her voice steady, friendly. "You made it." "Yeah," he said, feeling awkward. "I thought I'd come." "You thought right," she replied with a soft laugh. There was no pity in her tone, only warmth. Alex swallowed his nerves. He had imagined this meeting in so many ways, most of them clumsy and embarrassing, but Mara seemed completely at ease. It made him feel both relieved and out of place. They walked together through the park, talking about small things at first, weather, the new tech exhibits, city news. Alex found himself relaxing. Mara had a way of steering the conversation that made him feel like he wasn't under a microscope, like he wasn't being judged. "You know," she said suddenly, "I sometimes get people who come along just because they think I need company. They don't even really know me." Alex looked at her, unsure how to respond. "I don't think that's why I came," he said honestly. She raised an eyebrow, her smile playful but knowing. "Good, because I can tell when someone's pretending. I don't need pity, Alex. Really." He nodded, embarrassed but grateful. "I get it, and I don't feel that way. I just wanted to know you better." Mara's expression softened, and she gave him a small nod of approval. "Fair enough. Then let's just enjoy today, okay?" They reached a quiet part of the park where a holographic art display floated above the ground. Colors swirled in the air, forming shapes that looked almost alive. Mara moved gracefully, even with the exoskeleton, reaching out to touch one of the glowing forms. Alex watched, amazed by her balance and coordination. "You like it?" she asked. "It's incredible," he replied. "I didn't think the holograms could be so real." "They're designed to feel real," she said. "Like you could almost step into them, but I prefer to just observe." As they walked further, Mara began talking about her life. Not her disability, not her struggles, but her interests: astronomy, old science fiction books, and her fascination with robotics. Alex was surprised by how much they had in common. They both loved tinkering with machines, exploring ideas and imagining futures that didn't exist yet. At one point, they stopped at a food kiosk that served nutrient-rich snacks in small cubes. Mara picked one up and handed another to Alex. "Try this." It's supposed to taste like chocolate, but better for you. Alex took a bite, grimacing slightly. Better for me, yes. Tastes like chocolate, well, sort of. Mara laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. They continued walking, talking, and sharing small jokes. Alex noticed something remarkable. He wasn't thinking about her condition or about how he should act. He was simply enjoying her company. Mara's sharp mind, her humor, and her confidence drew him in. He was genuinely interested in her as a person. After some time, they reached the central fountain again. Water jets danced in time with soft music, forming patterns that looked like they belonged in a dream. Mara leaned against the railing, watching the display. "Do you ever get tired of people looking at you like you're fragile?" Alex asked quietly. Mara turned to him, her eyes meeting his. "All the time. But that's why I said what I said in my message. I want to be seen for me, not for what I can't do." Alex nodded, understanding more than he expected. "I see you, not just your limitations." For the first time, Mara's smile softened, becoming warmer and more genuine. "Good, that's all I ask." They sat on a nearby bench, letting the holographic lights wash over them. The conversation grew deeper. Mara spoke of her dreams, her hopes for the future, and the things she wanted to achieve despite her physical challenges. Alex shared his ambitions with her, the exoskeleton project, the idea of helping people regain mobility, and his small fear that he was not doing enough. "You're doing more than enough," Mara said gently. "Sometimes people get caught up in what they think is failure or imperfection, but helping even one person, that counts for a lot." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. Mara had a way of speaking that made him feel seen and understood, not pitied or judged. He realized that this was not just a simple outing, it was a connection, something human, real, and rare. As the sun began to dip behind the skyscrapers, casting long shadows across the park, Mara stood up. "I should probably head back soon," she said. Alex felt a pang of disappointment. "Already?" "Yes," she replied, smiling, "but I enjoyed this, more than I thought I would, and I hope you did too." "I did," Alex admitted, "more than I expected." Mara looked at him for a moment, then reached into her bag and handed him a small card. "Here, just in case you want to continue this conversation sometime. No pressure." Alex took it, feeling a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. I'll call you." "You better," she said, laughing softly. As she walked away, Alex watched her move with her exoskeleton, strong and determined. He realized something important. This wasn't a date born of pity. It was a genuine connection. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a spark of hope, not just for the project he was working on, but for the possibilities of life, of human connection, and of understanding. Alex stayed on the bench long after Mara had left. The park was quiet, the holographic lights fading into the twilight. He thought about what she had said. "You don't have to stay if it's just pity." He knew then that he hadn't come out of pity at all. He had come out of curiosity, yes, but more importantly, he had come out of interest. Real interest. And that made all the difference. He stood, pocketed the card, and walked back toward the lab, a small smile on his face. Somewhere in the distance, a drone buzzed softly overhead, casting moving shadows on the ground. Alex realized that life, with all its technology and complexity, could still hold simple, human moments of connection. Moments like this one. And for Alex, that was worth more than all the inventions in the world. The next morning, Alex woke up feeling a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness. The memory of Mara's smile lingered in his mind like sunlight through a window. He had spent hours thinking about the previous day, the way she had moved with confidence, the way she spoke with intelligence and humor, the way she had made him feel like he was truly seeing her, not her condition. He stared at the card she had given him, still in his pocket. He traced the letters with his fingers, noting the careful handwriting. It read, "If you want, meet me at the Central Plaza at noon. No pressure. Mara." Alex dressed carefully, choosing a casual outfit that he hoped was appropriate. He wasn't used to dates, let alone one with someone as remarkable as Mara. As he left his apartment, he reminded himself to focus not on his nerves, but on enjoying the day. The central plaza was alive with activity. Hovercars glided silently above, and kiosks sold all kinds of food and entertainment. Holographic advertisements floated in the air, and children laughed as they chased miniature robotic pets across the open space. Alex scanned the crowd and immediately spotted Mara near the edge of the fountain. Her exoskeleton glinted in the sunlight, reflecting the colors of the holographic screens nearby. She waved at him with a small, playful gesture. "Alex," she called. "Hey, Mara," he replied, walking toward her with a smile. "You're on time, that's impressive," she said, raising an eyebrow. "I try," he said, feeling a little embarrassed. "I didn't want to keep you waiting." Mara laughed softly. "Good, let's go then." They walked side by side through the plaza. The atmosphere was vibrant, filled with music, chatter, and the gentle hum of drones and automated vehicles. Mara guided Alex toward a section of the plaza he hadn't noticed before, a low-gravity simulation zone. It was an attraction where humans could experience movement in reduced gravity, almost like walking on the moon. Alex's eyes widened. "Wow, I didn't know this place existed." "I come here sometimes," Mara said with a smile. "It's fun, and it reminds me that gravity isn't the only limit we have." They entered the simulation area. Alex immediately felt the difference as his steps became lighter, almost floating. Mara moved alongside him effortlessly, her exoskeleton adjusting seamlessly to the low-gravity environment. He watched her, impressed by her balance and coordination. "You make it look easy," he said. Mara chuckled. "It's not magic, it's just practice and a little tech." Alex tried to mimic her movements, bouncing lightly and spinning with cautious steps. Mara laughed, a sound that was bright and infectious, filling the empty space around them. "You're better than most first-timers," she said. "Not bad at all." They moved together, exploring the zone. Alex felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced in years. For a while, they forgot about the world outside the plaza, the deadlines, the work, the expectations. All that mattered was the moment, the laughter, the shared smiles, the small sense of wonder. After some time, Mara guided Alex toward a quiet corner of the simulation zone, where the gravity was slightly higher but still gentle. She leaned against a holographic railing, watching him as he tried to keep his balance. "Can I ask you something?" she said softly. "Of course," he replied, feeling a little nervous. "Why did you agree to come out with me?" Alex paused. Her question was direct and he wanted to answer honestly. "At first, I think I was curious, but now I know it's not curiosity alone. I wanted to see you, to know you, not because of anything else." Mara's eyes softened. "Good, that's all I ever wanted." "I can tell when someone is pretending, Alex. I just want people who are honest." He nodded, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. Mara's words were simple, but they carried a depth that made him understand her in a way few people had ever done. They spent the next hour exploring more of the plaza. Mara led Alex to a small cafe that floated above the ground on magnetic fields, giving it the illusion of hovering. They ordered drinks, and Mara picked something that looked like a sparkling blue liquid. Alex followed her lead, picking a green drink that smelled faintly of mint. They sat by the edge of the cafe, looking out over the city. Hover cars and drones moved gracefully below, lights reflecting off the buildings. Alex found himself opening up to Mara in a way he rarely did with anyone. He talked about his childhood, his love for machines, and the dream of helping people regain mobility through his inventions. Mara listened intently, nodding and asking questions that showed genuine interest. "It's amazing," she said. "You're trying to make life better for so many people. That's not easy," Alex shrugged. "I don't know if it's easy or hard, it's just something I want to do." "Good," Mara said. "People like you make the world better, not the technology itself, but the humans behind it." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. Her words were simple, but they carried meaning. He realized that Mara's perspective on life, her resilience and her intelligence made her special. She wasn't defined by her condition. She was defined by her mind, her spirit, and her determination. After finishing their drinks, Mara suggested they try another activity, a holographic maze that tested balance, memory, and agility. Alex hesitated for a moment, unsure if he could keep up. "I'll help," Mara said, sensing his hesitation. "We'll do it together." They entered the maze. Holographic walls shifted and changed as they moved, creating illusions that challenged their senses. Alex stumbled a few times, nearly losing his balance, but Mara guided him with gentle words and quick assistance. Together, they navigated the tricky paths, laughing at their mistakes and celebrating small victories. At one point, Alex found himself in a section where the walls projected a swirling starfield. The floor seemed to disappear, replaced by glowing constellations. He looked up at Mara, who was balancing effortlessly on her exoskeleton, and felt a rush of admiration. "You're incredible," he said quietly. She smiled, a mix of pride and mischief. "Not as incredible as you. You're keeping up just fine." Alex blushed, feeling both embarrassed and pleased. For the first time, he realized that Mara's presence was not intimidating, it was inspiring. She challenged him to be better, to think faster, and to enjoy life more fully. As they exited the maze, Mara suggested they take a break near a quiet fountain at the plaza's edge. The water reflected the shifting holographic lights above, creating a peaceful, almost magical atmosphere. They sat on the edge, letting their legs dangle over the water. "You know," Mara said after a moment of silence, "I didn't expect today to be this fun. Most people, they either feel sorry for me or avoid me altogether. But you just treated me like a person." Alex looked at her, surprised by the honesty. "I didn't come here because I felt sorry for you," he said firmly. "I came because I wanted to know you." Her eyes softened and she smiled warmly. "Good, that's all I ask, honestly." They sat in silence for a while, watching the gentle ripples of the water. Alex realized something important. Mara's half-paralysis was not what defined her. It was her courage, her humor, and her perspective on life that made her remarkable. And he felt privileged to spend time with her, to share these moments, and to see the world through her eyes. The sun began to dip behind the city buildings, casting long shadows across the plaza. Mara stood up, stretching slightly. "I should head back soon. My therapy session is in an hour." Alex felt a pang of disappointment. "Already?" "Yes," she said with a small laugh. "But I had a really good time. I hope you did too." "I did," Alex admitted. "More than I expected." Mara smiled, a mix of satisfaction and affection in her expression. "Good, that makes me happy." Before leaving, she handed Alex a small data chip. "Here. It has some holographic designs I thought you might find interesting, and maybe we can try something similar next time." Alex took it, feeling a rush of excitement. "I'd like that." As Mara left, Alex watched her move confidently with her exoskeleton. He felt a mix of admiration, curiosity, and hope. He realized that their connection was genuine, not born of pity, not born of obligation, but of mutual respect and interest. Alex stayed for a while, watching the plaza grow quiet as evening approached. The lights from the holograms reflected in the water, creating a peaceful glow. He thought about what Mara had said. "I just want people who are honest." He smiled to himself. He knew he had been honest, and he knew he wanted to continue this connection. For the first time in a long time, he felt a spark of hope, not just for romance, but for understanding, companionship, and the human capacity to see beyond limitations. Alex finally left the plaza, walking home with a light step. He felt inspired, not just by Mara, but by the day itself. Technology, holograms, and futuristic devices were incredible, but the most remarkable thing he had experienced today was the simple, human connection that had grown between them. And he knew that this was only the beginning. The following weekend, Alex found himself standing at the entrance of a new attraction in the city, a futuristic flight park. This place was unlike anything he had seen before. Giant platforms floated in midair, supported by anti-gravity generators, and visitors could strap into personal flight suits to soar through the sky. Holographic rings hovered in the air, glowing softly, offering challenges to those daring enough to fly through them. Alex wasn't used to this kind of adventure. He preferred machines he could control from the ground, where nothing unexpected could happen. But Mara had insisted he join her. She had a sparkle in her eyes that made it impossible to say no. "You'll love it," Mara said as they approached the registration booth. Her exoskeleton made her movements graceful, and she seemed completely at ease in the bustling crowd. "It's safe, and I promise it's fun." Alex hesitated, eyeing the sleek flight suits. "Safe, you say?" Mara laughed. "I've done it before. You won't fall, trust me." Reluctantly, Alex agreed. He followed her instructions as they strapped into their suits, the soft hum of the anti-gravity generators vibrating through the equipment. The attendant helped them check the calibration, and soon they were standing on a platform that floated hundreds of meters above the city streets. Alex's heart raced. Looking down, the streets seemed tiny, the cars like toy vehicles. Mara, however, moved with confidence, stepping lightly toward the edge and gliding into the air. "Come on, Alex. You'll be fine," she called, hovering with ease. Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped off the platform. The suit responded immediately, lifting him into the air. His stomach flipped as he floated above the city. The wind rushed past his face, carrying with it the sense of the city below. He laughed nervously, surprised at how exhilarating it felt. Mara guided him toward the first set of holographic rings. "Just follow me," she said, looping through the rings with ease. Alex tried to mimic her movements, but his coordination was slower. He missed the first ring entirely, nearly spinning out of control. Mara hovered beside him, steady and calm. "Relax, Alex. Let the suit do the work. Don't fight it." He focused, taking her advice. Slowly he began to move with the suit, looping through the rings one by one. Mara cheered him on. "That's it. You're getting the hang of it." For a while it was pure fun. Alex felt a freedom he had never experienced. He and Mara moved together through the sky, laughing, racing, and occasionally bumping into the holographic rings with harmless sparks of light. Alex realized he was no longer nervous about being with her. The thrill of flying, combined with Mara's confidence, created a connection that was effortless and exhilarating. But then, something went wrong. As they approached a narrow section of the flight path, a loud hum filled the air. The holographic rings flickered and shimmered, and one of the anti-gravity generators sputtered. Mara's exoskeleton momentarily stuttered, and Alex saw her drift slightly sideways off the safe path. "Mara!" he shouted, alarmed. "I'm fine," she called back, though her voice carried a note of tension. The hum grew louder and the platform's stabilizers flickered. The holographic rings collapsed, leaving only open air between them. Alex felt panic rising. He wasn't sure what to do, but he knew he couldn't let Mara fall. "Stay close," he yelled. He adjusted his flight suit, moving toward her. Mara's exoskeleton struggled against the sudden turbulence. Alex reached out, his hands gripping the suit's control handles as tightly as he could. "Don't fight it," Mara shouted. "Use your momentum," Alex nodded, trying to remember everything he had learned in the lab about balance and mechanical control. He focused on the sensations of the suit, letting his instincts guide him. Slowly, he adjusted his position, inching closer to Mara. Finally, he was beside her. "Got you," he said, catching her with his arms around her harness. Mara's exoskeleton adjusted immediately, stabilizing her in the air. They hovered together for a moment, suspended hundreds of meters above the city streets. "That was close," Mara said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. "You okay?" Alex asked, still gripping her suit. "I am now," she replied with a small smile. Thanks to you. Alex felt a rush of relief and pride. He had faced his fear and acted instinctively to protect someone he cared about. Mara's presence, combined with the danger of the situation, had forced him to rely on his ingenuity and quick thinking. It was a moment that made him feel more human than ever before. Once the stabilizers were repaired, the flight park attendants guided them to a safer zone. Alex and Mara floated down gently, landing on a platform that hovered just above the ground. The city noise felt distant now, replaced by the quiet hum of machinery and the soft rush of wind from the generators. That was intense, Alex admitted, catching his breath. Mara laughed softly. It's part of the fun, but you handled it well. I'm impressed. Alex felt his cheeks warm. I didn't want to let you fall. I guess I just reacted. That's all any of us can do, Mara said, her voice calm and sincere. You trusted yourself and acted. That's human ingenuity. That's what makes us strong. Alex nodded, understanding what she meant. The experience wasn't just about flying or the thrill of the park. It was about human creativity, quick thinking, and resilience. Technology could fail, and conditions could change, but humans had the ability to adapt, improvise, and survive. They spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the safer areas of the flight park. Alex became more confident with the suit, learning to maneuver through the holographic rings with Mara's guidance. They laughed together at mistakes, celebrated small victories, and shared stories about their childhood dreams of flight and adventure. At one point, they hovered near a high platform that overlooked the entire city. The sun was beginning to set, casting golden light across the skyscrapers. Alex looked at Mara, her face illuminated by the glow, and felt a profound admiration. She was brave, clever, and full of life. Her half-paralysis did not define her, her courage and intelligence did. You know, Alex said, I never thought I'd be doing something like this. Flying above the city, it's incredible. Mara smiled. It's amazing, isn't it? Life is full of surprises. Sometimes the unexpected moments teach us more than we could ever learn in a classroom or lab. Alex nodded. He realized she was right. The flight park had been dangerous, yes, but it had also revealed the strength of human ingenuity and the power of connection. He and Mara had faced the challenge together, relied on each other, and come out stronger. As they descended toward the park entrance, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment. He had survived the unexpected challenge, protected someone he cared about, and learned something new about himself. And Mara, she had shown him what it meant to trust, to adapt, and to live fully despite limitations. When they landed safely, Mara unstrapped from her exoskeleton and turned to Alex. You were amazing today, she said sincerely. Not everyone would have stayed calm, let alone helped me. Alex smiled, feeling a warm glow in his chest. I didn't stay because I had to. I stayed because I wanted to, and I think I learned a lot today. Good, Mara said, her eyes sparkling. Because that's what life is about. Learning, growing, and trusting the people around you. They walked toward the plaza together, their conversation turning lighter now, jokes, funny observations, and plans for their next adventure. Alex realized that today had been more than just a date. It had been a lesson in courage, human ingenuity, and connection. By the time they reached the edge of the city park, the lights of the city were twinkling in the distance. Alex felt a sense of contentment he hadn't felt in a long time. Mara had not only challenged him physically, but had inspired him emotionally. She had shown him that true strength wasn't just in technology or muscles, it was in the heart and mind. As they parted ways, Mara gave Alex a quick hug. See you soon, Alex, and remember, humans are stronger than we think. Alex watched her leave, the exoskeleton helping her glide confidently into the evening. He felt a rush of admiration, respect, and something deeper, connection, understanding, and a growing affection he couldn't ignore. Walking home, Alex reflected on the day. The flight park had been thrilling, yes, but it had also been a revelation. He had seen human ingenuity, courage, and resilience in action, not just in himself, but in Mara. And he knew that this was only the beginning of their journey together. For Alex, the sky wasn't just a place to fly. It was a place to grow, to connect, and to discover the strength that comes from truly seeing another human being. And for Mara, it was clear that Alex wasn't there out of pity. He was there because he cared, because he understood, and because he could rise to the challenge alongside her. That evening, as Alex returned to his lab, he felt inspired. He couldn't wait for the next adventure, not just the technological ones, but the ones that involved trust, courage, and human connection. The future felt wide open, full of possibilities. And he knew that together, he and Mara could face anything. The city was quiet in the early morning, a soft haze of sunlight spreading across the streets. Alex sat at his favorite cafe, sipping a steaming cup of coffee and thinking about the past few days. His heart still carried the memory of Mara, her laugh, her energy, the way she had moved with confidence and grace even while relying on her exoskeleton. He realized that his connection with her was growing stronger, and he wanted to understand her better, not just as someone he admired, but as a person. He glanced at his watch and saw it was nearly time for their meeting. Mara had asked him to meet at a small rooftop garden near the center of the city. It was a quiet place, filled with plants and flowers, suspended high above the busy streets below. The garden overlooked the skyline, offering a view that made the city look calm, peaceful, and almost magical. Alex arrived first and waited, leaning against the railing. His mind wandered. He thought about the flight park, the laughter they had shared, the moments of thrill and fear, and the way he had acted instinctively to protect her. He felt a mix of pride and curiosity. He wanted to know more about her life, her thoughts, and her dreams. A soft sound behind him made him turn. Mara was walking toward him, moving steadily with her exoskeleton. Her hair caught the sunlight and her eyes sparkled with warmth. She smiled. "Morning, Alex," she said softly. "Morning," he replied, returning her smile. "This place, it's amazing," Mara nodded. "I like it. It's quiet, away from all the noise. A good place to think and talk." They walked along the garden path together, the flowers brushing gently against their legs, the city far below. Alex noticed the careful way Mara moved, balancing her steps with the exoskeleton. She seemed relaxed, confident, and in control, yet there was a softness to her movements that made her human, approachable, and real. "Alex," Mara began, her voice thoughtful, "I wanted to talk to you about something personal." Alex looked at her, curious and attentive. "Of course, you can tell me anything." She paused, taking a deep breath. "I haven't really told anyone my full story. Most people only see what I can't do. My paralysis, they think it defines me, but it doesn't, not really." Alex listened intently. He had sensed there was more to her life than she had shared, but he hadn't realized how much she had been holding back. "I had an accident about 5 years ago," Mara continued. "It changed everything. I lost the full use of my legs. I had to learn to live differently, to rely on technology like this exoskeleton. But the hardest part wasn't the physical change. It was how people treated me afterward." Alex nodded slowly, understanding. "I can't imagine how difficult that must have been." "It was," she admitted. "People would avoid me or they would act like they needed to protect me. I hated that. I didn't want pity. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted people to see me, not my condition." Alex felt a surge of admiration. Mara's resilience, her determination to be herself despite the challenges, was remarkable. "I see you, Mara," he said softly. "Not your paralysis, not your exoskeleton, you." Mara smiled, a mixture of relief and warmth in her eyes. "That's all I ever wanted, someone who could see me for who I am." They walked further into the garden, finding a quiet bench beneath a large flowering tree. The petals fell around them like soft pink snow carried by a gentle breeze. Mara sat down and Alex joined her. The view of the city below was breathtaking, but all he could focus on was her. "I need to ask you something," Mara said after a moment of silence. "Why did you really come out with me that first day? Was it curiosity or something else?" Alex thought carefully. He didn't want to give a false answer. "At first, maybe it was curiosity, but after spending time with you, I realized it was genuine interest. I wanted to know you, not because I felt sorry for you, not because I wanted to fix anything, just because I cared about who you are." Mara's eyes softened. She reached out and gently touched his hand, a rare gesture of trust. "I needed to hear that," she said quietly. "Most people never get it. Most people see me as broken or fragile or something to be fixed. But you understand." Alex felt a warmth in his chest. He had spent so much of his life focusing on machines, on inventions, on problems to solve. But Mara reminded him that life wasn't just about technology or accomplishments. It was about connection, trust, and understanding. They sat together, speaking quietly about their dreams, their fears, and the paths that had brought them here. Mara spoke of her love for robotics, her fascination with space exploration, and the books that had inspired her as a child. Alex shared his own passions, the exoskeleton project, the hope of helping people regain mobility, and the small doubts he sometimes carried about whether he was doing enough. "You're doing more than enough," Mara said gently. "Even the smallest efforts make a difference. You can't always see it, but you're helping more than you realize." Alex looked at her, feeling a deep respect and admiration. "Thank you, Mara. That means a lot coming from you." They fell into a comfortable silence, simply enjoying the quiet of the garden and the view of the city. Alex realized that he had learned something important. Mara's strength was not just physical. It was her mind, her heart, and her ability to persevere and inspire. After a while, Mara stood and moved toward the edge of the garden. "I want to show you something," she said, gesturing for Alex to follow. He walked beside her, curious. They reached a small platform that overlooked the city's tallest buildings. Mara held out her hand and Alex took it instinctively. The gesture was simple, but it carried trust, respect, and a quiet understanding between them. "Look," Mara said softly. She pointed to a distant part of the city where a new construction project was underway. "One day I want to help design mobility solutions for people who need them. Not just exoskeletons, but spaces, vehicles, systems, anything that can make life better. I want people to be able to move freely without fear or limitation." Alex nodded, impressed. "That's amazing. And I want to help you. Together we could make a real difference." Mara smiled, a rare and genuine smile that lit up her face. "I think we could. But it's not just about technology, Alex. It's about people, understanding their needs, their challenges, and their strengths. That's what makes the difference." Alex felt inspired. He realized that their connection went beyond friendship or admiration. It was a partnership of ideas, dreams, and human ingenuity. Together they could create something meaningful, not just for themselves, but for everyone who needed it. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the city, Mara turned to Alex. "I'm glad you came into my life," she said quietly. "Not because you had to, not because you felt pity, but because you wanted to. That matters more than anything else." Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had spent so much time worrying about appearances, expectations, and whether he was doing the right thing. But Mara's words reminded him that authenticity and sincerity mattered most. "I'm glad I did too," he said softly. "And I'm glad we met. You've changed the way I see things, Mara. You've changed the way I see myself." They stood together on the platform, watching the city lights come alive as night fell. The streets below glowed with movement, vehicles, and holographic advertisements. But for Alex and Mara, the world felt smaller, more intimate, and full of possibility. "You know," Mara said after a moment, "I didn't expect to trust someone this quickly. But with you it feels natural, honest, safe." Alex smiled. "I feel the same way. I've never met anyone like you, Mara. You inspire me. She laughed softly, a sound that made Alex's heart lift. Good, I like that. Because the world needs more inspiration, Alex. Not just machines or inventions, but people who care and act. They sat together in the rooftop garden, talking, laughing, and sharing dreams long into the evening. Alex realized that Mara's resilience, intelligence, and warmth were unmatched. She had faced challenges that most people couldn't imagine, yet she had never lost her sense of humor, curiosity, or hope. And he realized something else. He was falling for her, not out of pity, not out of obligation, but because of who she was. Her strength, her mind, and her spirit had captured his admiration and respect. As the city lights sparkled below, Alex and Mara made plans for the future, both personal and professional. They talked about technology, adventure, and the idea of building something together that could help others. The connection between them deepened, rooted in trust, understanding, and shared dreams. By the time Alex walked home that night, he felt a sense of clarity he hadn't felt before. Mara had revealed her past, her struggles, and her vision for the future. And in doing so, she had taught him about resilience, authenticity, and the power of human connection. He knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, obstacles, and unexpected trials. But with Mara by his side, he felt capable of facing anything. Together, they could combine human ingenuity, empathy, and courage to create something truly remarkable. And Alex knew one thing for certain. He didn't come to Mara's life out of pity. He came because he wanted to. And that truth made all the difference. The morning sun spilled over the city skyline, painting the streets and buildings in golden light. Alex stood at the entrance of his lab, adjusting the new exoskeleton prototype. Today was different. Today, Mara would be joining him for a hands-on session, testing improvements he had been working on all week. His heart raced, not with nerves but with anticipation. He had spent countless hours fine-tuning the joints, recalibrating the motors, and improving the software. The exoskeleton was lighter, more responsive, and more adaptive to the wearer's movements. But all of this work, no matter how advanced, had one true test: Mara. When the door opened, Mara entered, her exoskeleton softly humming as she walked toward him. Her face lit up with a warm smile, and Alex felt a rush of admiration. She looked confident, relaxed, and ready for the day. "Good morning," she said cheerfully. "I hope you didn't stay up all night tweaking this thing." Alex laughed. "Maybe a little. But it's worth it if it works for you." Mara studied the prototype carefully. "It looks lighter, more flexible. I like it already." "You'll see," Alex said, his eyes bright. "It's designed to be more responsive, easier to control, and hopefully more intuitive." They moved to the testing area, a spacious room filled with sensors, holographic markers, and soft mats for safety. Mara strapped into the exoskeleton, and Alex carefully checked each joint and motor. The prototype responded immediately, adjusting to her movements. She took a few steps, then began a slow jog, the exoskeleton assisting her effortlessly. "This is amazing," Mara said, her voice full of excitement. "I feel free." Alex felt a surge of pride. Seeing Mara move with ease, without struggle or hesitation, made all the long nights and adjustments worth it. "That's the goal," he said softly. "I wanted you to feel normal, like nothing is holding you back." They spent the morning testing the prototype in various scenarios: walking, climbing small stairs, navigating obstacles. Mara's laughter echoed through the lab whenever she stumbled or performed an unexpected move. Alex guided her carefully but allowed her to experiment. "This part is tricky," he said, pointing to a small incline ramp, "but I think you can do it." Mara smiled mischievously. "Watch me." She adjusted her steps and climbed the ramp, her exoskeleton responding perfectly to her balance and force. "Piece of cake," she said, landing on the top with ease. Alex grinned. "I knew you'd make it look easy." They paused for a moment, both breathing lightly, smiling at the success. Mara turned to Alex. "You know, it's funny. I've worn so many exoskeletons over the years, but this one feels different. It feels like it was made for me. It was, Alex said quietly. I wanted it to feel that way, not just functional but part of you, something that empowers, not limits. Mara's eyes softened. Thank you, Alex. This means a lot. Not just the tech, but that you cared enough to make it personal. For a moment, the lab felt quiet, intimate. Amid the machines and sensors, there was a shared understanding, a connection that went beyond technology. Alex realized that their work together wasn't just about exoskeletons or science. It was about trust, collaboration, and the human spirit. After a brief break, Mara suggested a small challenge. Let's try something fun, she said, pointing to a simulated obstacle course in the lab. See if your tech can handle real agility tests. Alex nodded, excited by the challenge. All right, let's do it. The obstacle course included narrow pathways, soft barriers, and moving platforms. Mara stepped forward confidently, her exoskeleton responding smoothly. Alex monitored the data on his tablet, adjusting the controls in real time as she moved. You're doing great, he said, impressed by her skill and adaptability. Mara laughed. You said this would be fun, I'm proving it works. Suddenly, one of the moving platforms faltered slightly, tilting unexpectedly. Mara adjusted instantly, her exoskeleton responding with precise movements, but the platform's instability created a risky moment. Alex's heart raced. Mara, hold on, he shouted. She smiled calmly. I've got this. And she did. Using a combination of balance, quick thinking, and the exoskeleton's assistance, she stabilized herself and landed safely on the next platform. Alex exhaled, both relieved and amazed. You see, Mara said, laughing, we're unstoppable together. Alex smiled, realizing she was right. Technology, human skill, and trust combined to overcome any obstacle. It was a perfect example of what they could achieve together, not just in the lab but in life. After finishing the course, Mara sat on a bench, breathing lightly, her eyes shining with excitement. I can't believe how far this tech has come, and I can't believe how much I trust you. Alex sat beside her. I don't just want to build technology. I want to build things that matter, and that includes trusting the people around me, especially you. Mara reached out and touched his hand. I know, and I trust you too, Alex. You've shown me that human ingenuity isn't just about machines. It's about heart, care, and understanding. They spent the rest of the afternoon discussing future projects. Alex had ideas for new prototypes, lighter exoskeletons, adaptive training modules, and smart navigation systems. Mara contributed insights from her own experience, suggesting improvements based on real-world use. The collaboration felt natural, exciting, and full of potential. As the sun began to set, casting golden light through the lab's windows, Mara leaned back in her chair. You know, I never expected any of this. To meet someone who sees me, really sees me. To work together, laugh, and create something meaningful. It's incredible, Alex smiled. I feel the same. You've changed the way I think about technology, about life, about people. Mara's eyes softened and she reached out again. And you've changed me too. You've reminded me that human strength isn't just about resilience. It's about connection, trust, and the courage to try. Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had spent so much of his life focused on machines, work, and logic, but Mara had shown him something far greater, the power of empathy, understanding, and partnership. They watched the sunset together, the city lights beginning to sparkle below. For a moment the world felt quiet and peaceful. Alex realized that this was more than a lab, more than a project. It was a new beginning, a partnership built on respect, admiration, and shared dreams. I have an idea, Mara said suddenly, her eyes shining with excitement. What if we design a full mobility program for the city? Not just exoskeletons, but adaptive walkways, transportation systems, and public spaces that anyone can use. Alex's eyes widened. That's ambitious, but I think we can do it together, Mara smiled. Exactly. Together, as evening fell, they packed up the lab, reviewing their progress and making plans for the next day. The sense of accomplishment was palpable. They had not only tested the exoskeleton, but they had strengthened their connection, built trust, and envisioned a future where their work could truly help others. Before leaving, Mara turned to Alex. "I'm glad we met. Not because I needed help, not because of pity, but because you care, because you understand, and because you inspire me to be better." Alex smiled warmly. "I'm glad too, Mara, and I want to keep building, learning, and growing with you, not just in the lab, but in life." She laughed softly. "That sounds like a plan. Humans and technology working together, unstoppable." Alex felt a sense of hope and possibility he hadn't felt in years. Together, they could face challenges, create new technology, and inspire others. But more importantly, they could rely on each other, trust, respect, and connection guiding them forward. As they walked out of the lab into the city evening, the streets glittered with light, life, and opportunity. Alex realized that the past, with all its struggles, had led him to this moment. Mara had shown him the strength of human spirit, the power of empathy, and the importance of seeing people for who they truly are. And in that moment, Alex understood something fundamental. The greatest inventions, the most important achievements, and the most remarkable discoveries were not just about technology. They were about people, connections, trust, and the courage to rise together, no matter the challenges. He looked at Mara, her exoskeleton softly humming with each step, and felt a surge of admiration, respect, and hope. The future was bright, not because of machines, but because of humans, because of heart, intelligence, and determination. And as the city stretched out before them, full of possibilities and new adventures, Alex knew that this was only the beginning. Together they could change the world. Not with pity, not with fear, but with human ingenuity, courage, and connection. And for Alex, that was the most remarkable discovery of all.